Hey guys, it's Rabbi Sharrat here. Today I'm going to give a shiur or class about grappling in halacha or Jewish law. First lesson, I guess, is when you are grappling, you don't need to wear a yarmulke. I am only wearing one while we roll today just because I'm going to be saying over Torah. So out of respect to Torah, I'm going to keep the head covered. So this is going to be a series. Shout out to Isaac Mass for the Jewsofjiujitsu. Very, very humble and very proud to be part of it. First, we're going to talk about grappling in halacha. Next week, we're going to be discussing striking in halacha. And then subsequent after that, we'll talk about competitions. Are you allowed to compete? And if so, under what circumstances? And we'll see where it goes from there. So just for fun, this might be a terrible idea. I've never done this before. I'm going to attempt to give the shiur while grappling. So let's just start the rounds. Okay. Here we go. So the first two issues, one, go, with regards to halacha's first combat sports in general and striking another Jew. So when striking another Jew, we learn the prohibition from Deuteronomy chapter 25, where it talks about someone who's culpable of lashes of punishment. That you can only give them 39 lashes. If you give them more than one extra one, you are culpable, and that is a biblical prohibition to do so. So we learn from there, the Gemara Exubis, Daf Lamed Gimel, that if a person does do that to someone who is culpable of lashes, all the more so for someone who is innocent. Now, that's number one. Second issue is even if you don't hit them, but even attempt to hit them, then there's another thing we learned from Exodus, also chapter 25, where two Jews had an argument, and Moses came to them, and he saw one raising his head, attempt to hit the other, and the Torah calls that person wicked, even though they did not actually strike yet. So, we see from here, even an attempt to hit another Jew is also prohibited. Now, the Rambam, in the 5th chapter of the halachas of damages and causing damages against another person, he discusses a very important word, and that is you have to strike them with malice or with strife. In other words, you have to be pretty upset at them to do so, to cause injury, which lends itself to the following question: what happens if there is no malice? We still have 2 minutes. Let's go. So we're going to get to that question in a second. But another issue is, suppose, which is independent of this, suppose even if I don't hit them or it's an accident. Hold on, I just need to get this on. What happens if I cause an injury? Am I culpable in paying the damages of that injury? Doctor visits, so on and so forth. Yeah. And in order to appreciate the concern here, the Gemara Bava Kama says every Jew is considered a prince. We're B'nai Chorin, which literal translation means free, but really it just means like we're really part of aristocracy of the world, being the chosen nation. That's now, with all these things, 1, damages, 2, Oh no. Two, with the intent of hitting or attempting to hit or cause injury, there's a famous tshuva from the Rush, which is brought in the Torah. In Siman Taf Kuf and in Choshen Mishpat, where well, here, come on. Where the following Shiloh was, there were two Jews grappling, just like this, and one took the other one down, and in the process caused an injury to the eye, blinding the other individual. So the question is, does one have to now pay damages in an instance like that? So the answer is no. But we got 8 seconds left in the round, but we'll keep going. So, okay. Sorry, we'll wait for the next round, which will allow me to catch my breath. Okay. So it's actually good timing, because the Rush says two things on this. Number one, the case of Bava Kama, which is also brought down on Choshen Mishpat, Siman Shinai Ches, Sif Tes, I believe, where two Jews are running in a marketplace full of people. We'll call it a Rishus Harabim. And now, generally, it's a little irresponsible to be running top speed amongst a market full of people that are just walking. So the question is, if two people are running top speed in such an environment and they collide with one another and they both get hurt, who is culpable for damages? And the answer is neither of them, because from the fact that they were running, they give implicit intent for anyone else in a similar situation, implicit consent to the same thing. Second thing is, the Rush says when we're grappling, it's impossible to have 100% complete control, especially if you're doing stand-up, which we're not doing at the moment, to have complete control. And therefore, we're kind of exempt in, what's the word I'm looking for? We're just out of our control. So between those two things, the Rush says that one does not have to pay for damages in that scenario, which is codified in Halacha, in Siman Taf Kuf, or 420, in Choshen Mishpat. Oh. Good. Keep on. Okay, now, there's a few points that we just need to reconsider over here. And that is, number one, no malicious intent. And number two, the implicit consent given to each other. So, when it comes to that, what's this kid? Oh, there he is. Okay. Good. So when it comes to that, that was a bad sketch. When it comes to that, there's a few points that we need to be cognizant of and consider. Number one, the safety of your training partners, which goes without saying, but this is beautiful that we see that a lot of the customs that we take for granted, such as respecting the tap, so on and so forth, are also coming from a Torah perspective as very much on the same thing. And that is, if you don't respect the tap, God forbid, you no longer have that implicit consent with one another. Secondly, if you're not respecting the tap, one has to consider there's probably malicious intent behind it. Now, the other thing is, suppose we're going at it and tempers are rising, frustration mounts, and I'm going to slap hard my opponent, even though it's not a slap, it's an attempt. We have to be careful of that, because we don't want that intent. Even if I attempt to do that and I'm not successful, the intent is what matters. So we have to be careful when it comes to malicious intent. Now, we'll discuss entering a competition setting and different questions regarding that in the coming shiurim. But the other consideration is, suppose you're with an opponent or you yourself are in a position where you should tap and you don't. That's also a problem. Because you yourself cannot put yourself in significant danger like that. But that's pretty much it for now. And I'll see you guys next week with striking in halacha, where I'm probably going to get my butt kicked. But see you then. Good Shabbos.